Today is October 14, 22. I went over to China and got my hair done. And of course, they followed me at the beginning, and there wasn't as many. But I could see them, and they're, you can hear them real loud driving by. So I'm sitting in there, and I'm telling the girl in the hair salon about retired Judge Pete, da 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 da. Okay? I start playing her my tapes. Okay? And as I'm playing my tapes for her, she's like, this is really scary. She's like, and da da da. And I told her how they cut a deal with Will and they break down Walmart. She's like, we got cameras with audio in here. She's like, everybody does. And I played her the different tapes, of different things. And how they were supposed to Photoshop the shower scene, people going to the Canton police and investigators of the shower scene and the drugs and told us to say stuff. And I played my 2 witnesses on my phone. Okay? And I told her about the other ones. And she's like, well, I'm glad. And I told her about that agent, what he did when I called him back, how he called me a liar and threatened to arrest me if I didn't say I was lying. And she's like, you're kidding. And I said, no. And then, list me informant, da, 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 da. But if I tell someone list me crazy, no one can help. I said, my friend that worked at the prosecutor's office started laughing and said that agent can't talk to you like that. He said, it's illegal. It is. He said, you can be in any protection program. And they can't say a word to you. You tell whoever you want as long as you feel comfortable, and they can't say a word. First Amendment is freedom of speech. As long as you're not threatening somebody, yeah, you have freedom of speech. The government can't tell you. You can't say something. It protects you. And he said as far as being in any protection program, you can tell whoever you want, who you feel comfortable telling, and they can't say a word. He said, and that agent can't bully you into saying you're lying under a threat of arrest. It's badgering a witness, obstruction to justice, and tampering with evidence. And then acknowledging the girlfriend, and so did the other guy in the office. And then, I'll list you informant, but you tell someone, I'll list you crazy. My friend that worked for the prosecutor's office, he started laughing. He's like, that agent doesn't have that kind of authority, and he can't do that. It's illegal. And the police know they can't go along with it, and they can't go along with him badgering you into, or bullying you into saying you're lying when you try to give him evidence. He could have even called Huntington Bank and said, was there a Pizza Hut lady there, or some lady, a blonde lady there, saying she got paid to watch Miss Hall? And they would have said, yeah, I yelled at her. Well, I'm going to pull the surveillance. Was there a tall white man with black hair walk off with her? Yes. Okay, we got him. We're going to see if we can get him threatening her. There, how many people give false reports and they have to take and go through the lead to see if it's real or not? It happens all the time. Their job is to go pull the evidence. And I had crucial information where Dave said I had a phone call to make, and then that guy showed up. And I tried to tell him, you liar, you confess you're lying, or I'll arrest you. I'm like, what? He said, you say it or I'll arrest you. And I'm like, what? He said, I will put you in jail. My friend that worked at the prosecutor's office, he's like, that agent can't talk to you like that, and the police can't use it. You can't badger a witness into making a false statement under a threat of arrest. You can't tell someone I'll list you informant, but if you tell someone I'll list you crazy, and no one cannot be. He doesn't have that kind of authority, and the police know they can't go along with it. You got to think, even in maximum security in jail, on people that are in death row, those officers have to protect them until their final appeal to the governor for them to be executed. They cannot let the other prisoners kill them or the officers. And today, where they were following me again today, and I did everything from what Will did about bullying me to the guy impersonating a federal officer before I called him back to the almost being shot driving to that guy claiming that he worked for David Michelle and he was running it, and the idiots that were hired to protect me, even though he said he was for the enemy, they listened to him. And they weren't there to listen to some henchmen that Dave and Michelle hired. Here, I work for Dave and Michelle. I'm in charge. Oh, you got to listen to me. No one can help her. He just said he worked for the enemy. And they listened to him. We stayed all the gunshot night because the guy running it said we weren't allowed to help her. He said we're not allowed to pull her out. They listened to him like damn fools. They weren't hired to listen to some guy. Oh, I work for Dave and Michelle. He even told them that in front of me. And they still listened to him. And they were hired to protect and only me. And they followed him like mindless children. It was sick. The whole thing's sick. It just, and what my friend from used to work at the prosecutor's office said what that agent did was consider a backdoor deal. They basically slip in a backdoor. They pay someone off to let some victim get victimized or killed. And until someone picks up that case and makes it right, that poor victim gets victimized or killed. And it keeps happening. I was talking to this retired sheriff. He's like, did you ever tell an officer and report that your ex-husband beat you? I said, yeah. He said, they arrested him, right? I said, no. I said, I have a video of him admitting it. And during the Protect a Life case, where the only time they're allowed to be in your home, yeah. They have to speak to you before they start, yes. I said, it's like the Amish man with the beards. They have him beating me with internal injuries. And he's like, they arrested him, right? And I said, no. He said, domestic violence laws, a female reports they were beat. They have to go arrest him no matter what. And he said, otherwise they get fired. I said, they did nothing to him. I told him about the shooting night, him getting caught on surveillance, how he bragged. They had people up there. They went to the wrong house, and I was target practice that night. And there were, the gunfire going off and all that. And he's like, he went to jail, right? I said, no, he didn't even get a ticket. Nothing. He said they get fired for that. He said, I even arrested a judge's grandkid. He said, judges can't commit crimes. He said, we arrest them all the time. He said, does your ex-husband have ties in the mafia? Because it seems like the only one that can get away with this is the mafia. Because they pay so many people off, not judges. Because they don't have that kind of authority. And, yeah. And I told him what that agent did at Huntington Bank and Giant Eagle. I said, what was there not to believe? He said, nothing. He said, you had him. I said, he called me a liar, da 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 da. He's like, he said, what? Yeah. I turned this into the Department of Justice. They will pull that. And they got him for badgering a witness, obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence, and setting up a fake setup where they're laughing that people are actually going along with it, where he's like, you tell someone no one can help you. That's a no way out. I'm not going to help you, and nobody's going to help you, and you can sit there and die. Like they said, they called Will and explained Michelle, and he set me up. You can't use setups. And like my friend from the prosecutor's office, the police know better. That agent did not have authority to tell someone that unless you're crazy and no one can help you. He doesn't have that kind of authority. People are running around. You do realize local police only can police in the local area. State police can only go on state highways. County sheriffs can go in the county. And some of them are high enough they can work in a couple other counties. Marshals, I'm not for sure if it's just state or if they can go in other states. But the FBI, which is just Federal Bureau of Investigations, it's just higher police officers. They can police anywhere in the United States. Now, the CIA, where my brother-in-law worked when he was alive, now they deal with the military intelligence, and that's a whole different group. and war weapons and that's a whole different military thing. Okay? These are just different levels of police. And they have no more authority than the other ones of that they only have where they can police at. They are sworn to protect the Constitution, and they can't break it or they get fired and they get arrested. It's abuse and misconduct. Police and agencies can only be in a home under a threat of life. Failure to notify for initiating and speaking to the other person in the home is abuse and misconduct, and failure to protect is abuse and misconduct. It goes into the right of privacy, illegal search and seizure. And this big mockery of they gave an attorney a quarter watch me, it makes the police laugh. There's no such thing. There's not. I confronted the Portage County Sheriff's Miss Hall. Not one of our officers were ever in your home before the protective life case, nor did we know anything about anybody being in your home or anybody else's home, and what these people are saying they did is illegal. It is. It's retired Judge Pete. So it's Pete and his wife, Michelle's parents, and their dirty friends running a scam. And where they paid off Will. We cut a deal, and we called Will, and he set her up. And it's funny, and we explained Michelle, and he set her up. They basically cut a deal. They did a backdoor deal. I don't get in trouble, and the police know that they have to help people no matter what. Because if you fail to protect, it's abuse and misconduct. He doesn't have authority to tell people they can't help someone, and he doesn't have authority to list somebody crazy if they tell. You can tell anyone you want in a protection program, and they can't say a word to you, just like my friend from the prosecutor's office. He said the police know that. And he can't list you crazy, and he can't tell anybody no one can help you. That's illegal and illegal statements, and they can't go along with somebody bullying somebody and breaking federal laws. The right, First Amendment freedom of speech. The government cannot regulate what you say. Long as you're not threatening somebody, you're fine. They can't say anything. And they can't stop you from talking. The only one that can actually tell you during a sequestered juror, during a trial, so somebody can't bully you in a false statement or false vote, you can't talk about the trial until it's over, and then you can do it. And it's just to keep everybody's opinions honest. His job was to take the evidence, go out and get it, and nail the bad guys. It wasn't for him to bully me, badger me, and to make a fake setup with retired Judge Pete. I turn this into the Department of Justice. They will get a hold of this. He will go to jail. And everybody involved. Where they run around, well, we taped her before. I never talked to anybody. You didn't have a right to break in my door within the first 6 days and kick it in and set up cameras because of Michelle. You didn't have a right to Photoshop a shower scene and be freaks and watch me in the shower. You didn't have a right to break in and roofie drinks and stab me with needles, amnesia drugs, and ecstasy and lie they were sodium pentothal reports, then come right out and say you were date rape drugging me and laughing at me and told me to say weirdo stuff and blah, 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 blah. They've laughed about everything around me. More than 10 people have went to the Canton police and other investigators and told on the photoshopping and the date rape drugging. And like I said, August 10th or 11th in Walmart 62 by the hair salon, they were following me around how they cut this deal with Will. They're stupid criminals. They brag and tape an audio places where they tape an audio in every aisle. They're very extremely stupid people. And like my friend from the prosecutor's office, they can't use that. I was in Giant Eagle today. It's October 14, 22 in Louisville. Some guy walked up and he looked at me and he kept walking. You could hear him talk to someone. He said, if they want a break, they beat a confession out of her. Is that why she was smoking so much before? Yeah. Somebody mentioned that in the hair salon where I did the rape and torture when I tried to help that Asian lady, and how they beat rape, torture, to confession out. Torturing somebody's 20 to 50 years. I went in and the lady sat down. Well, they can't use that. No, they can't. They can't use the drug confessions. They can't use the legal search and seizure. The only thing that can happen is they go to jail for stalking. And that's what they're wanted for, is stalking. And so where people make fun of me for Pete and his wife, because he's retired, he's a retired judge, Pete and his wife and his dirty friends kicking in my door and being freaks watching me and my husband make love, watch me in the shower, stalk us, break in and roofie drinks and stab me with amnesia drugs to tell me say something stupid and just wake up with bruises. Would you really like your husband's new girlfriend's family to go fatal attraction on you? He was already trying to kill me at Lennox, and he had that other girlfriend, the Just Do It lady, and some the lady that took credit for my bikes for him to get everything, and then he ran into Judge Pete's thing at that store after him and the board with the base. They all agreed to help kill me because they were into drugs and they're killers. These people, like they said outside, my clients at Turquoise Street, we know the people that are doing this to her are the ones they hired to kill her. It is. And people need to be ashamed for participating. They need to be ashamed and they need to be arrested. If you say something to me in a store and I call 911, you will go to jail for stalking, menacing, and it's 2 to 10 years. You cannot come up to a store and come in and insult me for being drugged, photoshopped, stalked. You can't stalk and menace me. You can't make fun of me for being raped and tortured. Rape and torture is 20 to 50 years. Drugging somebody is 20 to 25. It's attempted murder. Attempted extortion under is 15. Stalking can be 5 to 7. Illegal search and seizure is 5. Conflict of interest is 1 to 10. For every civil right broke is 1 to 10. That includes freedom of speech, right to privacy, right to remain quiet, right to an attorney, right to a fair court trial, bail and bond, and right not to be mistreated. Like I said, they even have to take care of the prisoners on death row to make sure that the guards and the other inmates don't kill people on death row. They can't let people be killed. They can't let them get hurt. They can't let them get mistreated. It's illegal. And this whole thing is, and it's a mockery of our judicial system. And would they want them to do this to them? They need to think. Because like they told Ed at the Oakland apartment, December 9, 21, it's just a group of men doing crimes down here to see if someone will stop them. They told my ex March 1st to 15 and 19, 8 to 10:30 at night in a legally bugged house, that it's just a real life case of how to get away with murder. They're murdering people in front of them and mocking them. They didn't have a right to kick in my door because Dave met retired Judge Pete's daughter. Matter of fact, the whole county can't even work a case against me in my life. They go to jail 1 to 10 years and $1 million fine, and then 1 to 10 for every constitutional right broke. They're looking at life in federal. And Officer Reinhardt said that with there being a county judge's daughter involved or family involved, they couldn't say a word to you in your life. They go to jail for even trying. They never did. It's just retired Judge Pete and his dirty friends. Oh, but we broke in her door and we stalked her. Then arrest them. We photoshopped a shower scene. I heard about it. It's disgusting. You perverts, you have no right watching me. And photoshopped a shower scene in the other room, laughing at me and telling other people, and they go to the police. Oh, where she got sick on drinks and she got bruises. We used sodium pentothal. Oh, it was ecstasy, date rape drugs. She was sleepwalking. We told her how to say all this stuff because she was under control for 4 to 6 hours with those drugs. It's funny, right? It's attempted murder. You know, these people need to go to an emergency room. They need to tell the emergency room admission that they think all this is funny and they're part of it. Watch the lady's face turn. She'll hit a little buzzer. The officers or security will come out and they will get a psych evaluation and they'll be diagnosed with being schizophrenic, a sociopath, or a psychopath, and then they'll be arrested for their participation in this. They're playing with hell with somebody to get off their butt. None of this is funny, and shame on all of these people for helping a retired judge that could have just paid me off and I would have left. I would have left in a hurry. He had enough money to pay me off. He had enough money to do all this. And like that one retired sheriff, I arrested judges' families all the time. They can't do this. They can't let them get away with it. I said the Tuscarora sheriff said that the FBI needs to arrest the Portage County sheriffs for any participation. He's like, they do. They can't do this. He said, because anytime a female gets beat, they automatically have to arrest them. He said it's domestic violence laws. They don't have a choice, or they get fired. See, they don't have a choice not to help me now either. They'll get fired. You either do your job or you get fired. And they know they can't go along with Will. And they knew what Will did. And they knew it was illegal, and the most they can do is turn him in the Department of Justice and help me no matter what. They can't go along with some rogue agent thinking he can make up any law he wants and says whatever he wants and think that because he's just a higher police officer in a higher department that he can just tell him what to do. No, he can't. And he can't make up his own laws. Domestic terrorism is a group of people stemming from political or religious backing to further their ideology, their way of belief, with threats to harm to human life against the U.S. constitutional laws. This is domestic terrorism at its finest. They had a cult, and they're in it with a church, and it's a cult. So I named them. They want to be mean teenagers and think they can do this to me. So I'll be a mean 5-year-old. I named them. I call them the Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire group. They're the Pinocchio group. They run around telling people I have charges. I've never been questioned of wrongdoing. I've never been prosecuted. I've never been found guilty. They act like they can break in your door, stalk you, Photoshop a scene, date rape, drug you, tell you to say something stupid, and you've never been questioned of wrongdoing. No Miranda rights, no prosecution, and they can do it all without you. They're insane. That's not how the law works. That's not how the judicial system works. If I would have done something wrong, an officer would have knocked at the door, gave me Miranda rights. I would have been subpoenaed to the prosecutor's office with an attorney. I would have been subpoenaed in front of a sitting judge there. They would have weighed that out if it was admissible. Okay? And then I would have been subpoenaed to a court trial to be found guilty or innocent. Nothing happened, but I had bruises and I got sick on drinks and somebody kicked in my door. Do I have charges? Are they just lying? They're lying. I have one traffic ticket. I can pass an FBI background check, a BCI. I have one traffic ticket from 89 and I paid my ticket. I'm squeaky clean. I told you, even the cops have always said, we always know this woman's innocent. FedEx October 2020 investigators. John was one of the main officers over a young guy with black hair. It's ridiculous for any child to be afraid of Karen. She's nothing but good in love. He stopped goons at the door where my ex-daughter-in-law friends with a girlfriend trying to help him get the house. Had the grandkids make up mean games of pretend. Stopped him January 12th, 22 at Walgreens North Main at 4:58 p.m. When those kids get caught stating they made everything up. They're documenting mean games of pretend. They got caught stating they wanted the house for Auntie Shell and Papa on Thanksgiving of 18. And then later on to my granddaughter, Flora, they made everything up. All the rest of my family spoke highly of me. All the police know I'm innocent, and they all know my family spoke highly of me. And they're just documenting me games of pretend. But they run around, but we drugged her and told her, say it, then arrest them. It's attempted murder. Well, we photoshopped a shower scene while we were stalking her, then arrest them. They can't do this, and they can't get away with it, and they didn't have a court order. There's no such thing. Even the Portage County Sheriff's, Miss Hall, what these people are saying they did is illegal, and not one of our officers were involved, nor did we know anything about them being in your home, nor was our officers in your home or anyone else's home outside of protected life cases. I said, you have to speak to everyone before you start. So Fourth Amendment, He's like, yes. Officer Reinhardt, he said it comes down to this. Until Will took your statement and agreed to protect you, there's nothing else. It's just special protected life cases, and they have to talk to everyone before they start. Same thing with the Massillon Police. It's a right to privacy. You also have a right to remain quiet, a right to an attorney, a right to a fair court trial, bail and bond, a right not to be mistreated, and you also have a freedom of speech. You cannot remove the Constitution.